TDA abuse, tobacco, drugs and alcohol abuse. Tobacco, drugs and alcohol abuse. Let's see one after another. First of all, let's take tobacco and how it affects the health of human being. Here some of the risks of smoking. Smoking can damage every part of the body. Then we classified it in the form of cancers and chronic diseases here. Smoking can cause the chronic diseases like stroke to the brain, and stroke to the brain, and it causes the blindness in human being. Gum infection, aortic rupture, and heart diseases, pneumonia, and hardening of the arteries, chronic lung disease and asthma, reduced fertility, hip fracture. These are all the chronic infection by continuous smoking for a long period of time may get affect the whole body. That these are all the different kinds of effects here. Let's see the cancers. Cancers may come to the head or neck region, lung and leukemia. Blood cancer can be expected, lung cancer, stomach cancer, cancer to the kidney, pancreas and colon, bladder and cervix cancer. These kind of cancers can be affected by the human being here. There is a risk for long-term smoking, then can affect these kind of problems here in case of human being. One of the other effect in case of smoking is emphysema. Here this is the lung, who is a normal lung here, and the healthy alveoli. The healthy alveoli is going to be affected by the smoking. Continuous harmful particles are trapped in alveoli. The harmful particles, whenever going to trapped here, there you can see in the diagram, inflammatory response is triggered. Inflammatory response is triggered in alveoli, and inflammatory chemicals dissolve alveolar septum, and the large air cavity lined with the carbon deposits is formed here. So these kind of effect of alveoli can be seen all over the lung in case of human being in the continuous the smoking process here in a person. And what is the problem here? In case of alveoli, whenever that particular alveoli, the air enters inside after the gaseous exchange through the blood capillaries, that air should go out. That less oxygenated air should go out to accommodate the fresh air to come in. That actually the problem with these kind of lungs who get affected with emphysema, that air, whatever entered inside, the bad air, the fresh air, whatever entered inside, after the transport of oxygen to the blood capillaries, this air will stay here. It doesn't allow the fresh air to come inside. So that it affects the oxygenation of the blood. So it automatically affects other healthy organs of the body here. Alcohol. Effect of alcohol. Let us see the effect of alcohol here. The different parts of the body is getting affected here. Let's start from the brain, nervous system. Effect of alcohol. Peripheral neuritis, degeneration of the nervous system, that supplying limbs. Pressure on portal circulation, risk of hemorrhage, increased incidence of cancer 40 times if the alcoholic is also a smoker. Gullet, corrosive effect, risk of cancer. Muscles, degeneration, weakness, pain. The effect of the heart, the weak, fatty heart, weakening of heart muscles. That high blood pressure and anemias due to decreased absorption of vitamins. Stomach, the gastric peptic ulcer, direct corrosive effect. Fingers, the pins and needles, that fingers are pins, needles, and intestines, inflammation, corrosion from alcohol, nervous system malfunctions, and shakiness, tremors that get affected over. When it comes to the bones degeneration, risk of fractures will be increased over by the alcohol. Effect of alcohol is going to be almost all every part of the body. Then let's take the brain here. The brain, headaches, blackouts, delusions, paranoia, the forgetfulness, impaired judgment, decline in IQ, dementia, then epileptic features here, the Wernicke's disease due to the vitamins deficiency, hemorrhage, peripheral neuritis, Korsakoff's psychosis, and finally it leads to the death even here. Whereas lungs, a small amount of alcohol escapes unused via breath, 2 to 4%. And liver, fatty cells. Liver is a major organ which get affected by the alcoholic people. That alcohol is a toxic material. Liver makes the detoxification process here. That's why more alcoholic and more effect on liver. Fatty cells, tissue scarring, jaundice, hepatitis, irreversible cirrhosis. The liver breaks down 90% of alcohol consumed here. That makes that overload to the liver here along with its normal functions. As we know, liver doing various metabolic activities of the body. That alcoholic is given additional work to the body, the liver. And kidneys, effect on kidneys, a small amount of alcohol escapes unused via urine is about 2 to 4%. Pancreas, bad digestion, malnutrition, early diabetes. Sweat glands, a small amount of alcohol escapes unused via sweat glands, 2 to 6%. And the sex organs, effect on sex organ, depressed testicular production and impotency, and breast growth due to female hormones not broken down by liver. The failure to ovulate, spontaneous abortion in female. These are all the effect of alcohol here. Alcoholic effects on almost all every internal organ is getting affected here, but the major organ getting more damaged is going to be liver. Liver cirrhosis is one of the regular symptoms in case of alcoholic people. Alcohol and tobacco. It is proved that alcohol and tobacco use are growing public health problems in developing countries. Many surveys ask respondents about frequency of alcohol and tobacco use. Here, the collective usage of the alcohol and tobacco is doing more damage in the youth. So here, the getting awareness on this particular aspect here, that alcohol and usage of alcohol and tobacco that affects the every part of the body. It may lead to the cancers and that various internal organs are get damaged over. Getting alcohol and tobacco is became fashion nowadays here, but it is going to be more dangerous to the future of youth. So it is very important to give awareness to the youth here not to use these particular here for their bright future. Let's take a look on drugs here. Tobacco, alcohol, along with that the more dangerous issue is going to be drugs. That let's get some knowledge of various kinds of drugs here. The bhang. Bhang is an edible preparation of cannabis sativa. Traditionally, it has been used in food and drink for centuries. It's a traditional aspect here actually. Then bhang in India and Nepal is distributed during some Hindu festivals like Holi, Janmashtami and Shivaratri. And consuming bhang at such occasions is common. It's the extract of bhang is from plant cannabis. Here you can see here the shops which are selling bhang here, the process of making bhang into a drink, and here a bhang shop in Jaisalmer, Rajasthan. Women selling cannabis and bhang in Guwahati, Assam, India. The side effects of bhang. It induces psychosis. Drinking too much bhang can lead to the grandiosity, excitement, hostility, uncooperativeness, disorientation, and hallucinations. It may make you feel good. The good feeling is obviously due to the presence of cannabis and can take you into a trance and also temporarily relieve any kind of pain. It increases the heart rate and alters the blood pressure. Even if there is no conclusive research that says the bhang can increase the heart rate and blood pressure, various studies have proved that cannabis, which is an integral part of bhang, can increase heart rate and alter your blood pressure. That bhang does not kill you. Bhang is not fatal even with the presence of cannabis. According to studies, there have been 0 deaths due to cannabis overdose, but an overdose of bhang led to the death of 25-year-old male who had already suffered from rheumatic heart disease. The deceased had consumed around 300 ml of bhang and had died within 24 hours of consuming bhang. Some other drugs here. Opioids. The modern definition of opioid, the molecule that interact with opioid receptor of the brain of human being. Opioid compound, opioid receptor, agonist, antagonist, agonist and antagonist. Natural products, synthetic and semi-synthetic compounds. Peptides synthesized by neurons and other cells. Let's see some of the opioids here. Natural opium alkaloids are morphine and codeine. Semi-synthetic opiates, diacetyl morphine, heroin and pholcodeine. Synthetic opioids like pethidine, merperidine, we use it to say that fentanyl, alfentanil, sufentanil, remifentanil, methadone, dextropropoxyphene and tramadol. These are all the various kinds of opioids here. Morphine, let's see morphine here, one of the opioid, morphine, effect of morphine, that central nervous system is getting affected here. Like analgesia, pain consists of both sensory and affective emotional components here. Opioids or analgesics reduce both aspects of pain experience, especially affective aspect. In contrast, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory analgesic drugs have no significant effect on the emotional aspects of pain. Euphoria. Intravenous drug users experience a pleasant floating sensation with pleasant anxiety and distress. However, dysphoria, an unpleasant state characterized by restlessness and malaise, may sometimes occur due to the usage of morphine. And one more opioid here, heroin. Heroin is a highly addictive and illegal drug. It is a depressant drug. The resin of poppy plants are used to make heroin. Opium is removed from the parts of the poppy plant, then refined to make morphine and then refined again to make heroin. Heroin originated back in 1874, where it was synthesized from morphine by an English chemist. A couple of years later, heroin began to be commercially produced by the Bayer Pharmaceutical Company, a German chemical company, in 1898. How is it used? Heroin is usually injected into the body, but it can also be snorted or smoked. When injected, heroin quickly reaches the brain. Heroin is a level 5 drug which puts it in the narcotic analgesic group. Street names of heroin include Big H, Hell Dust, Nose Drops, Thunder, Brown Sugar, Horse and Skag. Be wary of these names on the streets. Ingredients. The two major chemicals found in heroin. Two major chemicals found in heroin are morphine and acetic anhydride. Other chemicals found in heroin include anesthetics and stimulants. Some of these chemicals include cocaine and caffeine. Acetic anhydride along with the morphine can form heroin. That's why we use it to say acetylation of the morphine is heroin. Morphine is a direct product and acetylation of morphine leads to the heroin. The effects of use. Heroin slows down the central nervous system. When it depresses nerve transmission in the brain and spinal cord, heroin can reach the brain in just 6 to 8 seconds when injected. This will disrupt the cardiovascular system and the respiratory system. Has the CNS control breathing and heart rate. Because of this, the brain won't receive enough oxygen or blood, and brain damage it can result. Damage to the brain will cause it not to be able to send messages through the CNS, disrupting the nervous system, and then the brain won't be able to control major organs, affecting the digestive system and other systems. This can lead to death even. The physical consequences of heroin can have a devastating effect on the body. Harmful physical effects include diseases like tuberculosis and arthritis. Other problems like constipation, itching, coma, introversion, and insomnia can also result from heroin use. AIDS and other contagious diseases can be spread if heroin users share needles. Since heroin is usually injected, this can be quite common. Yes, along with the opioids, as we said, the opioids like morphine and heroin, which are the major one, affecting the opioid receptors. And now let's move to the cannabinoids here. The cannabinoids. There are three types of cannabinoids. Herbal, occur naturally in the cannabis plant. That example THC. Synthetic cannabinoids, produced artificially, called as spice. Natural, also occur naturally in humans and animals. Cannabis, which is in with various names, weed, marijuana, THC, pot. This is the male and female flowers of cannabis sativa. What is THC? Tetrahydrocannabinol. THC is a tetrahydrocannabinol. Based on the THC itself, we are going to classify the various products of cannabis. Short-term effects of THC could last 1 to 24 hours. It increases appetite, increases pleasure, impaired thinking and memory, dry mouth, impaired coordination, eye redness, paranoia, increased heart rate are the different effects of THC here. What is THC? The tetrahydrocannabinol, in brief called THC. Now let's take the different the products of cannabinoids here. The one of them is marijuana. What is marijuana? Marijuana refers to the dried leaves, flowers, stems and seeds from the hemp plant Cannabis sativa. The plant contains the mind-altering chemical delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol. We called in brief it as THC. We said it as THC. And other released compounds, extracts with high amounts of THC can also be made from the cannabis plant. The plant contains about 60 chemical compounds with psychoactive effects able to impair neuronal functions named cannabinoids. The main compound is THC, delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol, in general called tetrahydrocannabinol, which induces the greatest part of the effects. Common hemp also contain cannabinoids, but in the doses with no practical effect. Marijuana is a mixture made of flowers, leaves and small stems of Cannabis sativa. The hashish is a paste made of the resinous secretions which store in the female flowers. So only the female individuals can deliver hashish of an intense coffee color. The resin contains much higher levels of THC. Thus the hashish is more powerful than marijuana, containing 40% THC compared to 10% in marijuana. Ganja is a female plant. The flower of it produces resins very high in THC. The flower bud and all of flowering part is consumed as ganja or weed or marijuana. The resin is collected from flowering plants and made charas or hash. Charas is further refined as a dhoor very much famous in Afghanistan. Hash oil is also sometimes extracted from hash, called hash oil. Ganja, hash is generally smoked and can be blended with lipids, food and served as snack. THC level is the active component, as we came to know now. Dur has highest level of THC. Cheras has little less THC, and ganja flower has lowest THC level. In India, Malana cream is the best cheras. Kerala Gold is the best ganja. Dur is not available here in India. Next, the coca alkaloids. Let's take a look on coca alkaloids here, as they are completed opioids and cannabinoids. The third category here, coca alkaloids, which erythroxylum coca, the plant erythroxylum coca. In this case, also the Indians add lime to the leaves before chewing them. The leaf form of coca never became popular abroad. In 1860, cocaine was isolated and became popular. It became used as a local anesthetic. An extract of coca leaves became used in Coca-Cola. Later, the FDA made the company remove coca alkaloids from the extract here. As a drug of abuse, cocaine may be sniffed or smoked or injected. Cocaine blocks reabsorption of norepinephrine in the brain. This makes the user feel invigorated and blocks feelings of fatigue, hunger, and a kind of a situation we say euphoria. Euphoria, a situation called euphoria get affected over. Atropa belladonna, the other drugs here, the Atropa belladonna, deadly nightshade we say. For many, the star of the poison plants. Most people have heard of deadly nightshade even if they have never seen it. The combination of its ability to kill with its use to beautify by dilating the pupils gives it a romantic attraction which is hard to beat. Add to that the hallucinations it may also cause, and its fascination is complete. This is the Atropa belladonna, and these are the flowers of Atropa and the seeds of Atropa belladonna, which is very dangerous here. That how poisonous, how harmful, that contain tropane alkaloids, notably hyoscine, also called scopolamine, hyoscyamine and atropine. At least 5 other toxic components have been isolated here. Next, let's take a look on barbiturates here, an old class of drugs used to relax the body and help people sleep, sleeping pills we used to say. These drugs are first developed in the late 19th century. Barbiturate abuse then became popular in the 1960s and 1970s. Use and abuse have declined greatly in recent years. However, this decline was mainly due to the development of newer or safer drug alternatives. Barbiturates are both psychological and physically addictive. The risk of a fatal overdose is higher with barbiturates than other drugs, as the difference between a safe dose and a deadly one is small. A class of drugs known as benzodiazepine has largely replaced barbiturates for both medical and recreational use. Benzodiazepines have less severe side effects and are not as likely to result in accidental overdose as barbiturates. It's a benzodiazepine is some of the examples for this: Valium and Ativan. These are considered as tranquilizers in general. LSD. What is LSD? LSD is a semi-synthetic drug, meaning it combines with natural occurring and man-made substances. It is derived from ergot, a fungus that grows on sudden grains, and a non-organic chemical called diethylamide. Lysergic acid diethylamide is an illegal drug whose primary effect is to alter the senses and cause hallucination. Formulated in 1938 as a treatment for respiratory depression, Swiss chemist Albert Hofmann inadvertently discovered LSD's unique properties when he accidentally absorbed some on his skin. An estimated 1.3 million persons aged 12 or older in 2013 have used hallucinogens. The present day dose of LSD is only a fraction of what it was in the 1960s. LSD blurs the line between perception and imagination. The Central Intelligence Agency led Vijare experiments on LSD to evaluate its potential for mind control. Use may trigger the onset of schizophrenia in those predisposed to the illness. The average users are educated while white males ages 18-22. Using and or selling LSD is a felony crime. Craving and addiction do not develop with its use. The hallucinogenic effect can last up to 12 hours. Then often referred to as figments of the imagination. These perceptions can involve all or only one of the five senses. LSD primarily causes visual hallucinations, such as distorted colors and shapes. It can also cause blending of the senses known as synesthesia, which is hearing colors or seeing sounds. Using LSD is called tripping, and users can get a good heaven or bad hell trip. Whatever the drug, like tobacco, alcohol, drugs or drugs like opioid, cannabinoid, coca alkaloids, they all leads to the addiction. That addiction is going to be the very dangerous issue here in the growing adolescent age. It affects the personality, emotions and human behavior. Basically, limbic system of the brain controls this kind of behavior, instinctive behavior, emotions and motivation. That the usage of these particular substances in adolescent age is going to be affect the psychologically, like physiologically, social effect, and the community effect, like human behavioral effect, that all will get by the adolescent age, and that may affect the future of the children. So that one must should aware on this particular aspect here, not to use this kind of drugs, not to curiosity not to lead towards the addiction. So how curiosity leads to the addiction? Let's see here. Let's see here the addiction cycle. It may start like a ritual, that ritual, and that after that they may use over, and by guilt or friend circle they may, then emotional trigger makes the person to use, and finally that leads to the carving. That carving is leads to addiction. Here it is the craving. What we said here, the emotional trigger leads to craving. That craving finally may lead to the addiction. Let's see the addiction monitor here. That first of all, they may like it, and they may want it. Over a period of time, they feel so that is we need it, and finally they crave it, and that leads to addiction. Addiction may create a lot of problems here in the adolescent age here. The age where the curiosity is going to be the biggest task through the particular people. That if the right path, if it is, that may lead to the bright future, but usage of the tobacco, drugs and alcohol in the growing age by curiosity, and as we are seeing here, by curiosity, but by peer group, friend circle, they may use for first time, they may like it, then they want it, they need it, and finally it leads to the craving of that particular aspect here. So finally that addiction leads to that physical, the bodily healthy issues we are seen already, and psychological, that the addiction psychological process, and social, that people can't move socially. So the various kinds of effects are there here. So one, we should give awareness to the people in the adolescent age group, that not to reach this particular path here. Thank you.